Hello, welcome to the Dr. Mech Explainer series. Today we are addressing a critical and often overlooked danger in our field, alcohol withdrawal syndrome. It's a diagnosis that can be incredibly difficult to make in the perioperative setting, and a missed diagnosis can lead to devastating outcomes for our surgical patients. Just a reminder before we begin, this presentation is intended for educational purposes, for medical professionals, and is not a substitute for clinical medical advice. The information we'll be covering is drawn from recent work published in the ASA Monitor and the Journal of the American College of Surgeons. So, what makes AWS such a hidden threat? Well, it really comes down to the diagnostic challenge. The signs and symptoms are masters of disguise, often looking exactly what we'd expect to see after a major surgery. Think about it. Your post-op patient is anxious, maybe a little nauseous, their heart rate is up. Tachycardia. You've seen it 1,000 times. But here's the problem. Those are also the classic early signs of alcohol withdrawal. They're completely nonspecific, so it's incredibly easy to write them off as just routine surgical stress. And that's where the danger lies, in that delay. This ambiguity leads to a crucial question. What really happens when we miss this diagnosis? What are the actual consequences for the patient? A very important study led by Dr. Timothy Pollack gives us some sobering answers. Let's look at the hard data. A major nationwide study published in the Journal of the American College of Surgeons really spells out just how high the stakes are when AWS enters the picture in our surgical patients. The researchers looked at data from 3 million surgical patients. Now you can see that only about 0.5% were diagnosed with AWS. That might sound small, but its impact is anything but. The data also showed these patients were typically younger, more likely to be male, and often covered by Medicaid. And here is the number that really needs our attention, 37%. The study found that AWS was independently associated with a 37% higher risk of major complications. We're talking about things like respiratory failure and sepsis, and that's even after accounting for other risk factors. The strain on the system is also significant. Look at the length of stay. A median of 11 days for patients with AWS, compared to just 6 days for everyone else. That's almost double. And financially, it translated to an increased cost of more than $10,000 per patient. Dr. Pollack himself sums it up perfectly. He states that the evidence is clear. While AWS might not be common, it dramatically increases the risk of complications and even death after major surgery, particularly if it escalates to delirium tremens. So, given these severe outcomes, what's the answer? It has to be proactive identification. The research strongly argues that we need to implement standardized, rigorous screening for every patient, well before they get to the operating room. This slide really illustrates the problem we're up against. On the left, typical post-op symptoms. On the right, the signs of AWS. The overlap is obvious. Tachycardia, nausea, anxiety, they're on both lists. The presence of tremors can be a key clue, but this just underscores why we have to maintain a very high index of suspicion. So how do we screen effectively? One of the best validated tools is the AUDC. It's a very simple 3-question screen. For men, a score of 4 or more is considered positive. For women, it's 3 or more. A positive screen doesn't diagnose AWS, but it tells us this is a patient who needs a more thorough evaluation. Now, for a patient who is already showing symptoms of withdrawal, the standard of care is the CIWA-Ar scale. This tool helps us objectively quantify the severity of their withdrawal by scoring 10 different symptoms. A score of 8 or higher is generally the threshold where we need to initiate medical treatment. Of course, any screening tool is only as good as the information we get. And a huge barrier here is stigma. Patients are often hesitant to disclose their true alcohol use. As Dr. Pollack points out, it's our job to create a non-judgmental, value-free environment. We have to make it clear that we're asking these questions only to keep them safe. Okay, so once screening identifies a high-risk patient, what's next? Well, effective management is not a one-person job. It absolutely requires a coordinated, multidisciplinary team. You are watching the Dr. Mech Explainer series. And this statement really gets to the core of the management philosophy. Being proactive is safe. Being reactive is dangerous. The worst-case scenario is being caught by surprise, trying to manage a full-blown withdrawal crisis in a post-op patient. We have to be ahead of it. And that requires this entire team. Anesthesiologists are key in the preoperative workup. But it also involves surgeons, social workers for intervention, and case managers to ensure there's a solid plan for post-discharge care. It's a true continuum of care. For patients we know are high risk, we should have a clear treatment algorithm ready to activate. This pathway usually involves pharmacological support with benzodiazepines, sometimes gabapentin, and critically, thiamine supplementation to prevent Wernicke's encephalopathy. So, to bring this all together, the evidence really is overwhelming. Screening for alcohol use disorder shouldn't be an afterthought. It needs to be a fundamental component of our standard of care for every surgical patient. The bottom line is this. When we implement routine stigma-sensitive screening, the benefits are profound. We can directly reduce avoidable complications, we can shorten hospital stays, and most importantly, we can save lives. You are watching the Dr. Mex Explainer series. And that leads to a final question for all of us to consider in our own practices. Is your institution's current screening protocol truly robust enough to consistently catch this overlooked but very serious hazard? Thank you for joining this explainer. To ensure you don't miss future content, please subscribe and enable notifications.